music to play. Anyway, hello, hello. Hope we are all coming in. And I will have some music for you. Hey, Pastor April, how you doing? I don't have my music. Here we go. Hey, Francine, Michael, Sarah, Gary, what's up, man? How's everybody doing? Kamea, how are you? I should say Kamea. Anyway, hey, Sarah, missed you at Bible study the other night. Hey, Brenda. Hey, glad to have you checking in, my friend. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to ask you guys where you're checking in from, so. We did that a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of fun. Hope everybody, and Selma, how are you? Praise Him. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. All that good stuff. Well, we'll give you a little bit of a word tonight. Checking in from Menifee. Wait a minute. Y'all can all give a shout out to where you're checking in from. Hey, Stacy. Cecilia. And please be good and kind and share this with somebody. Share it with all of your friends. And let's jump right on into it. Yeah, we'll jump right into it. I hope you all were able to see that from USC. Amen. Fight on. I hope you all were able to see the title of this new series we're starting tonight. Chandrella, hey, missed you the other night too. James, good to see you. And we're going to be talking about, for the next few weeks, Santa Clarita in the house, going to be talking about space is limited. And what we were referring to, and I said also, the follow-up title is, or subtopic is, limiting our capacity for foolishness. And it may seem kind of harsh, but that's just kind of the way the Lord gave it to me. I think it's, hey, Samantha, how are you? It's important for us to, especially this time of the year, and all of us, hey, Dev, how you doing? It's always important for us to try to kind of regroup and to kind of lay out some things as far as how we're going to move into our next year. And every year we should be getting better. Every year we're striving to be better. Every year we're trying to grow and move higher. And so as we started a new series in Bible study, our latest series in our Spirit and Life in our Bible study is entitled Talking Loud and Saying Nothing. And what we were talking about there with that very, of course, interesting James Brown song, but we're talking about the fact that we have to be careful about what we say and what we hear. Actually, what you hear kind of dictates what you say. What you say, hey, Sharon, and what you say becomes how you act, and how you act becomes your habits, and it forms your life. So we were talking about that, and I had a scripture that I was dealing with the other night out of Proverbs chapter number 4, verses 23 and 24. And we'll talk about that in a moment. But it was important, and the Lord kind of gave me something on I believe it was either Tuesday or Monday morning, but especially Tuesday morning, as a matter of fact, that he really impressed upon my spirit that some of us have developed too high a capacity for foolishness. In other words, we've allowed too many things into our lives and into our minds that are starting to affect how we operate. And so it was important, and the Lord said you have to reduce your capacity for foolishness, because the more stuff you entertain, we're going to talk about in the next few weeks about how our anxiety levels goes up, our fear, our unbelief, all those things are affected by what we allow into our spirits, what we allow into our eyes, what we allow into our ears and into our minds. And the battleground has always been, and hey, happy birthday, man. Willie, glad to see you, man. Lemon, we're glad to see you, man. Happy birthday to you. And we are always affected by what we hear, what we take in, what we consume. And over time, you'll realize that you have increased your capacity for negativity, for foolishness, for things that aren't really beneficial to you. And the Lord spoke to me today. What's up, bro? The Lord spoke to me today and said that when you reduce your capacity for foolishness, you actually increase your capacity for more of God, for more of the things of God, for more of the mind of God, for more direction. In other words, when your capacity for nonsensical things and for just extra stuff that wears on you, when you do that, when you decrease that, when you limit your capacity or you limit the amount of space that you have for that, then now you are preparing yourself and learning how to move into an area where God is going to show you some things and going to expand the spiritual things, and your spiritual strength is going to grow, and you'll get to another level. Your level of maturity is going to grow. But what we've done, and so the Lord said, the first thing we have to learn how to do is understand the importance of how we guard or keep our minds and our hearts. Proverbs chapter number 4, verses 23 and 24, in the Good News translation reads like this: be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. Never say anything that isn't true. Have nothing to do with lies and misleading words. That's the Good News translation for Proverbs chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. Now, in the King James, it says, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. That's verse 23. Keep your heart. But keep in the text means to guard. And the Lord spoke to me and said, the way you keep or guard your heart and your mind is really by limiting who has access to you, whose voices you're hearing, what sources you're pouring into your spirit. And some of us, we have to be careful. And about how much, even as much as we are using social media tonight, how much social media time we spend, how many negative voices. And you'd be surprised how many negative stories, how many negative posts, how many negative people are pouring into you on a daily basis. And so when you do that, you realize that I don't have a whole lot of time that I'm spending in talking with God or even reading the Word of God, because you have all of us have the same 24 hours in the day. But at some point, and maybe over the next few weeks, what we can do is start taking an inventory about what's being fed to you, what's coming into your spirit, what are we consuming? That's a better word. What are we consuming? What are we taking in? Who's pouring into us? Because have you ever gone through a point where even in your natural life, even in your home, even on your clearing your desk at work or whatever it is, where you start looking and say, why do I still have this here? Why is this still out? Why is this still sitting on my desk? And at some point, I have to declutter some things. I have to go and say, you know what? I'm throwing all these old flyers away. I'm throwing all these old pieces of mail away because it's just taking up space. And there's the point I wanted to make tonight, is that we have a very limited, as wonderful as our brains are, As wonderful as these brains that we have, we all of us are running around with smartphones, and we've got laptops and all these computers and iPads, and they are brilliant. They are excellent things. The technology is amazing. But then the thing we have to understand is that our brains are even more of a magnificent computer. But at the same time, you have to monitor how much is coming into your brains all the time. How much is coming into your spirit all the time. Because if you're not careful, as you get to the end of the year, you'll realize you picked up some things along the way that aren't beneficial. You picked up some thoughts, some ideas, some concepts, and sometimes it's not something that was so obviously, most of us, and when something is obviously crazy or obviously negative, we would generally try to get rid of it. We would generally try to avoid that. But there are some things that you don't even realize how much it's affecting you or how much space it's taking up in your mind, and how much of your time it's taking up. I was having a conversation, I was sharing this in Bible study. I was having a conversation the other day with my son, and we were talking about just how, he's like at a point where he went off of Twitter and, Instagram, because he's like, there was just so much stuff that's just being fed to him. And I said, after a while, you got to start looking at one thing I know about my phone now. It kind of tells me, it'll tell you how much of your time you're spending and where you're spending your time and your energy on social media. And so you start realizing, wait, I'm spending that many hours, much time in scrolling and going through this and looking at these friends, and I'm looking at all this information. And sometimes a lot of stuff is false, but we're going to read it anyway. A lot of things may not have a shred of truth to them, or some things are funny. But then you have to realize, maybe, wait a minute, I'm spending an awful lot of time simply just scrolling. I'm doing this, I'm scrolling all day long. And you're like, wait a minute, why am I? If you ever go and look at your, just what your habits are, then you start realizing, no wonder I can't seem to get my thoughts together. No wonder I'm having trouble focusing. And that's what we were talking about. Me and my son Randall, we were like, well, why do we find ourselves not being able to focus? Or, watch this, why do we find ourselves depressed? Why do I find myself always upset? And that's absolutely right. And that's right. If we got to be careful about who, Chandra, you're absolutely right. We have to be careful about what we are consuming, who we're connected to. Why am I watching this? I've gone on Twitter sometimes, and I'm like, why am I following this person? Or why is this person? So then you got to go learn how to mute some folks. Then you got to learn how to mute some people on Instagram. Then you got to unfollow some folks on Facebook. Because sometimes you can realize that there are people that are there that all they do is spew negativity. All they do is they're spewing junk. And you're saying, wait a minute, why am I taking in all this junk? And so you realize I gotta cut down on the capacities. Just like if you're in a banquet hall or something like that, every place has seating capacity. This is how many people are supposed to be able to sit in here, that are going to pass the fire code. Well, after a while, when you realize that I'm not able to fill up all these seats, maybe I need to take some of these seats out of here. We have some seats that are in us. We have people that are occupying space. That's even better. Occupying space in our minds. Taking up bandwidth. Some of y'all computer folk understand that. They delete and unfollow. Absolutely. You have people that are taking up too much bandwidth of your time. You have negative people that are taking up too much of your time. They're getting too much of your attention. And it's a trick of the enemy, because you start thinking, well, I got to minister to them. I got to help them. No, actually what they're doing is they've been sent on assignment to gobble up some of your valuable time. All of us on here, all of us that are viewing this right now, all of us on this planet get the same 24 hours. Nobody gets extra time. So now I have to be very careful about how much of my time is being spent on things that aren't beneficial and are not pushing me further towards my destiny and are not operating in my purpose. If it's not really helping me, then I don't really need it. And I don't have to be mean. I don't have to be nasty. But over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about some things that are taking up capacity, taking up space in our lives that is just unnecessary. I got to start cutting back on that. I got to be able to hear, from God. I got to be, and we wonder, well, how come I can't seem to focus? I saw one of my friends on here, Vashawn Mosby, and just a brilliant mind and an amazing a young lady that's doing great things in not only in the entrepreneurial world, but doing great things in the kingdom. But the thing is, one of the things I've noted about her as I've known her over the last few years, she doesn't spend a lot of time watching TV. And when she's on social media, she usually is on there with a purpose. They're just not wasting time. And when you understand that I can't waste time and I have to make sure that my mind is clear, that I'm stronger spiritually, that I'm hearing from the Lord clearly, that he's giving me instruction. He's telling me, come on, you got to get here, move here, do this. And then sometimes we're like, I don't know why I can't talk to God. Because I'm spending too much time talking to nonsensical people. Because they're not helping me. And like I said, you don't have to be mean. And I know some people are going to go through the whole thing this time of the year. There are a couple of things that happened. I said it on Sunday in the message, and I'm going to be done. I said, there's going to be two things you start seeing a lot of, and it's cool. You're going to see a lot of folks going on consecration, probably. A lot of ministries are going to go on consecration. I get it. I understand. And then there's going to be a lot of people that are, and so they're going to be going off of social media for a month or whatever. Okay, that's great. But then you're going to also see people that I'm cutting off some people, I'm deleting some people out of my life and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I understand that, and that's all well and good. But here's my next question is, why do we have to keep going through that same process every year? Seems like to me we ought to learn last year who we don't need to be including in our lives. So it doesn't make sense to delete them in December, and then you pick up some more people that are kind of like them in January, February, March, and April, and all the rest of the year. So then you have to end up going through this whole scenario all over again of I'm deleting people. Maybe the people aren't the problem. Maybe it's what I keep on ingesting. And if we keep on ingesting negativity, there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on. There's so much information pouring into us all the time. There's information, your phone is just, I always laugh about when people get on the phone in the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't sleep. Probably because you got your phone turned on and you're on social media. So maybe if you turn the phone off and actually went to sleep, you might be able to, anyway, that's another message for another time. But what I'm saying is we have to be careful about what we're ingesting. And I think that now is going to be a very good time for us over the next several weeks to be able to start limiting the influence and the capacity and how much stuff Lily, you're absolutely right. It's exhausting. Have you ever wondered why some of us are tired? Not necessarily physically, but we're spiritually exhausted. We're emotionally drained. We're mentally fatigued because we've been just under pressure, hearing everything. I got to catch this. I got to see this. I got to hear about what's coming out, what's happening. And next thing you know, you have your whole mind is consumed with stuff that's not important. So now the Lord is saying, this is going to be a very good time for us to start pulling some seats up. I'm not giving anybody more. I'm not giving this profile, this platform, so much space in my mind. I'm not entertaining every phone call. I'm not entertaining every text. I'm not responding to every single thing because it's consuming too much of my time. And what we're going to do is we're going to all start getting a little bit more control over what we are going to guard our hearts with all diligence. We're going to keep our hearts with all diligence, for out of my heart, my mind, are the issues of life. He said, be careful about what you take into your mind. Be careful about what you keep thinking about. Be careful. That's the Proverbs 23 and 24 out of the Good News translation. Be careful how you think. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. Your life is shaped by your thoughts. How am I thinking? It's time, Brenda, you're absolutely right, to clean house. I have to reprogram how I think. That means from the time I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed, I have to be able to say, okay, this is going to be what's healthy for me. A lot of us are doing stuff, trying to do stuff to get our bodies in shape and eat right and eat healthy. I get it. But you got to be able to think healthy. You got to be able to consume the right things. And when we do that, we'll find that we'll be a lot more productive. We'll be a lot more active. The Lord will speak to us a lot because we don't have all this other noise that's drowning him out. All right, God bless you. I thank God for you again. I pray that everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday, and amen. That's right. Amen. But don't adhere to peer pressure. Yep. Being on social media all day is for folks who have nothing better to do in a day. That's absolutely right. And you can get yourself caught up. You're right, Chandrella. You can get caught up just scrolling. And what'd you do with your day today? Nothing. I scrolled and I watched everything. And anyway, we'll talk about it in the next few weeks. I love you all. I thank God for you. Thank God for those of you that purchased and took advantage of the discount, the Black Friday sale for mature audiences only. If you haven't received your copy yet, if you haven't purchased it yet, you can go tonight to stevehamiltonministries.com and purchase a copy. I have folks that are going to be purchasing copies for, now you actually can get your friends and family for mature audiences only as a Christmas gift. We'll be ready for the holidays. We'll get them out to you, and you can be able to give them as gifts. But we're certainly excited about what God has done for us this year in relation to our book, and folks are being blessed by it all over the country. So we thank God for that. So I'm praying for you, and I love you, and thank you all for tuning in. I missed you all last week, and glad to be back. And so the book is awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Wanda. I appreciate that. God bless you as well. But this week, this Sunday, get to somebody's church. Please get to somebody's church. Get you a word from the Lord. And make sure, if you can't get there in person, please tune in to someone's live stream and get you a word from the Lord. Get a word every single day. Proverbs chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. Proverbs chapter 4, verses 23 and 24. I read out of the Good News translation, but the King James Version says, "Keep your hearts with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." All right. God bless you. We will see you next week. And I love you much. Have a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you next week. God bless you.